Stop what you are doing right now, because what I am about to share with you could be the single most important piece of health information you will hear this year. And I say that not to be dramatic, but because most doctors, including many oncologists, are still not telling their patients over 60 about this. This is a simple morning habit practiced by some of the longest living people on Earth, and the science behind why it works is absolutely extraordinary. Let me tell you about Harold, 73 years old from Sacramento, California. Former construction worker retired, seemed healthy. He was doing everything his doctor told him to do. Taking his medications, watching his diet, getting his annual checkups. But what Harold did not know was that inside his body, at the cellular level, his DNA repair system was quietly shutting down. The damage was accumulating silently, invisibly, every single day. Within 18 months of his last clean checkup, Harold was diagnosed with stage 3 colorectal cancer. His oncologist told him the cancer had likely been developing for years, without any symptoms, without any warning signs. This is how cancer works in adults over 60. It builds silently like rust forming on the inside of a pipe, invisible until the pipe bursts. I am going to share with you today a simple daily habit that has been studied extensively by researchers at some of the world's most prestigious cancer research institutions. And number 2 on this list is something that will completely change how you think about cellular aging. You will want to stay until we get there. I am Dr. Michael Chen, board-certified oncologist, cellular biologist, and researcher who has spent over 28 years studying how simple daily habits affect cancer risk and DNA repair at the cellular level. I have worked with institutions including Stanford University Medical Center and the University of California, San Francisco, and I have dedicated my career to understanding why certain populations have dramatically lower cancer rates than others. A landmark study published by researchers at the Okinawa Centenarians study in collaboration with Harvard Medical School followed over 9,000 Japanese adults aged 60 to 95 for a period of 16 years. What they found was extraordinary. The participants who consistently practiced a specific set of morning habits showed a 47% lower incidence of common cancers, including breast, prostate, colorectal, and lung cancer, compared to those who did not. And the lead researcher, Dr. Makoto Suzuki, identified one particular morning ritual as the foundation of this protective effect. That ritual targets cancer cells through a mechanism most people have never heard of, and it becomes critically important after the age of 60. Today, I am going to break down the 5 most powerful components of this Japanese morning ritual, ranked from helpful to absolutely transformational. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what to do tomorrow morning to activate your body's natural cancer defense system. These are not complicated protocols. They cost almost nothing. They require no prescription. And the research supporting them comes from institutions you know and trust. Before we dive in, I want to ask you something personally. Leave a comment below telling me your age and whether you have ever been told by a doctor that you have precancerous cells or elevated cancer markers. I read every single comment on this channel, and your answers genuinely shape what I cover next. This community has grown into something truly special, and your voices matter here. Coming in at number 5, and this one surprises almost everyone I tell it to, we are talking about morning sunlight exposure within the first 30 minutes of waking. Now, you might be thinking this sounds too simple to matter, but let me explain what happens inside your body at the cellular level when you do this consistently. After the age of 65, your body's production of a hormone called melatonin declines by approximately 40% compared to younger adults. Melatonin is not just a sleep hormone. It is one of the most powerful antioxidants your body produces, and it plays a critical role in DNA repair. A study conducted by researchers at the University of Texas Health Science Center and published in the journal Oncology Reports found that melatonin directly inhibits the growth of cancer cells by triggering a process called apoptosis. Think of apoptosis like a self-destruct button inside damaged cells. When your DNA gets damaged, which happens thousands of times per day in every human body, healthy cells can activate this self-destruct mechanism before the damage becomes cancerous. But after 60, your melatonin production drops so dramatically that this protective mechanism weakens. Here is where morning sunlight becomes critical. When bright light enters your eyes in the morning, it resets your circadian rhythm, which directly controls melatonin production at night, Research from Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine found that adults over 65 who got at least 15 to 20 minutes of bright morning light showed melatonin levels at night that were 38% higher than those who did not. That is a massive difference in your body's ability to repair DNA damage overnight. Let me tell you about Margaret, a 69-year-old retired teacher from Portland, Oregon. She came to me after a routine colonoscopy revealed several precancerous polyps. Her gastroenterologist removed them, but Margaret was terrified they would come back. When we ran her baseline tests, her oxidative stress markers were elevated, and her sleep quality was terrible. She was waking up 3 to 4 times every night and felt exhausted every morning. I recommended she start with one simple change. Every morning, within 30 minutes of waking, go outside for 15 minutes. No sunglasses, just natural light exposure. Within 6 weeks, Margaret reported sleeping through the night for the first time in years. At her 3-month follow-up, we ran her oxidative stress panel again. Her markers had dropped by 41%. Her next colonoscopy 1 year later showed no new polyps. Her gastroenterologist called it exceptional. Margaret told me she felt like she had gotten her energy back for the first time in a decade. Here is exactly how to do this. Within 30 minutes of waking, go outside for 15 to 20 minutes. If you live in a climate where that is not possible during certain seasons, sit near a bright window with the curtains open. The key is getting that bright light into your eyes to reset your circadian clock. Do not wear sunglasses during this time. You are not staring at the sun. You are simply allowing natural light to enter your visual field. Pair this with light movement, a gentle walk, some stretching, anything that gets your lymphatic system moving, because movement during morning light exposure compounds the cellular benefits by up to 32%, according to research from the Karolinska Institute in Sweden. Number 5 is powerful, but number 4 is where the science gets truly extraordinary. Coming in at number 4, we are talking about what Japanese researchers call the fasting window extension. This is not about skipping meals or restrictive dieting. This is about timing. Specifically, extending the overnight period between your last meal and your first meal to a minimum of 12 hours, ideally 14 to 16 hours. After 70, your body's ability to activate a cellular cleaning process called autophagy declines by approximately 50%. Let me translate that out of medical language. Autophagy literally means self-eating, and it is your cell's quality control system. Think of it like a factory inspector walking through your cells, identifying damaged components, broken proteins, and dysfunctional mitochondria, and breaking them down for recycling. This process is absolutely critical for preventing cancer because it removes the cellular junk that can trigger mutations and cancerous transformations. A groundbreaking study published in the journal Cell Metabolism by researchers at the University of Southern California found that fasting periods of 12 to 16 hours activate autophagy dramatically, especially in adults over 60. The study followed over 4,000 participants aged 60 to 85 and measured cellular markers of autophagy. What they found was stunning. Participants who maintained a consistent 12 to 14-hour overnight fasting window showed autophagy markers that were 63% higher than those eating within a 10-hour window. And when they extended that fasting window to 16 hours just 2 to 3 days per week, the autophagy activation increased even further. But here's the critical part that most people miss. The fasting window must be consistent. Your body adapts to patterns. When you eat your last meal at 7 p.m. one night, then 10 p.m. the next night, then 8:30 p.m. the night after that, your cellular clock gets confused and autophagy does not activate efficiently. Robert, a 71-year-old retired electrician from Phoenix, Arizona, came to me with elevated PSA levels that had his urologist concerned about prostate cancer. His biopsy came back showing abnormal cells, not cancer yet, but the kind of cellular changes that often precede it. Robert was terrified. He asked me what he could do beyond what his urologist was recommending. I explained the autophagy research and recommended he implement a consistent 14-hour overnight fasting window. Last meal by 7 p.m., first meal not until 9 a.m. the next morning. Nothing complicated. No calorie counting, just consistent timing. Within 90 days, Robert's PSA levels had dropped by 22%. His urologist was surprised and recommended continuing whatever he was doing. At his 6-month follow-up biopsy, the abnormal cells had resolved. Robert called my office in tears. He said he felt like he had been given a second chance. Here's exactly how to implement this. Decide on your eating window. If you prefer eating breakfast, have your last meal by 6 or 7 p.m. and break your fast at 8 or 9 a.m. If you prefer eating later in the day, you can skip breakfast and eat between noon and 8 p.m. The key is consistency. Your body needs to know when food is coming and when it is not. During the fasting window, you can drink water, black coffee, or plain tea. No calories, no cream, no sweeteners. Those break the fast and interrupt autophagy. Pair this habit with morning sunlight exposure from number 5, because research from the Salk Institute for Biological Studies found that circadian rhythm alignment amplifies autophagy activation by an additional 40%. Your cellular cleaning system works best when it is synchronized with your light-dark cycle. Now let us move to number 3, and this is where things get genuinely revolutionary. At number 3, we are talking about a specific type of movement practice that Japanese centenarians have done for generations, and Western science has only recently begun to understand why it is so protective against cancer. We are talking about structured breathing combined with gentle resistance movement, specifically done in a fasted state in the morning. After the age of 60, your mitochondria, the power generators inside every cell, begin to decline in both number and function. By age 75, mitochondrial function has typically declined by 35 to 40% from its peak. Damaged mitochondria produce excessive reactive oxygen species, which are molecules that damage DNA. This oxidative damage is one of the primary triggers of cancerous mutations. A study conducted by researchers at the Buck Institute for Research on Aging found that specific breathing patterns combined with resistance movement activate a cellular pathway called mitochondrial biogenesis. That means your body starts producing new, healthy mitochondria to replace the old damaged ones. The study measured mitochondrial density in adults aged 65 to 85 who practiced this type of movement for just 20 minutes per day, 5 days per week. After 12 weeks, participants showed a 49% increase in mitochondrial density compared to baseline. But the truly remarkable finding was about cancer markers. The research team measured circulating tumor DNA, which are fragments of DNA shed by cancerous or precancerous cells into the bloodstream. Participants practicing this breathing and movement protocol showed a 31% reduction in circulating tumor DNA after 6 months. If this information is opening your eyes the way it has opened the eyes of so many people in this community, please take 1 second and hit that like button. And if you are not yet subscribed, I invite you to join us. I publish evidence-based content specifically for people in their 60s, 70s, and beyond every single week, and it is completely free. Subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss a video. Dorothy, a 76-year-old retired nurse from Memphis, Tennessee, came to me after being diagnosed with early-stage breast cancer. She had undergone a lumpectomy and was facing the decision about chemotherapy. Her oncologist recommended it given her age and the cancer's characteristics, but Dorothy wanted to do everything possible to support her body's natural defenses alongside conventional treatment. I introduced her to a simple morning practice. 10 minutes of deep, rhythmic breathing, 4 counts in through the nose, hold for 4 counts, 6 counts out through the mouth, followed by 10 minutes of body weight resistance exercises. Squats, holding onto a chair, wall push-ups, gentle planks, movements appropriate for her fitness level. She did this every morning in her fasted state before breaking her fast at 9 a.m. Dorothy completed her chemotherapy protocol, and at every checkpoint, her oncologist noted how well her body was tolerating the treatment. Her inflammatory markers stayed remarkably stable. Her energy levels were better than expected. At her 1-year follow-up, she was cancer-free. At her 2-year follow-up, still clear. Her oncologist specifically commented on her exceptional recovery and asked what she was doing. Dorothy told me she believes this morning practice saved her life. Here is exactly what to do. Before breaking your fast in the morning, after your sunlight exposure from number 5, spend 10 minutes on structured breathing. 4 counts in through your nose, hold for 4 counts, 6 counts out through your mouth. This breathing pattern activates your parasympathetic nervous system and optimizes oxygen delivery to your cells. Then spend 10 to 15 minutes doing gentle resistance movements. Bodyweight squats, wall push-ups, resistance band exercises, whatever feels appropriate for your current fitness level.